Hello again, folks. Right, so now we're on to round 9 and round 10. We're flying through. So this time we're using olive. If you're sticking to the original yarn and colours, I happen to be using khaki out of my stash of special double knit. So here we go. We need to join, it says, into the double crochet that was at the beginning of the last round. So I actually don't think it matters which double crochet you're going to start at, to be fair, because whichever way you go, it's going to work out the same. So anyway, we'll chain one as suggested to join, and then a further 2 chains. So we're obviously going to be doing trebles because this is counting as our first treble, this turning chain. So then we're going to 1 treble into stitch at the base of this. So we're putting another treble in the same place. So we've now got 2 trebles in that double crochet. Okay. And then it wants us to chain 1. Hold on, I'm just checking I've got it right, folks. Chain 1 and treble into the next DC, which is the one that's along the chain, which is going to create a nice gap for you. Okay, and then treble into the next 2 chains. So 2, 1, 2. Again, I'm cheating, I'm working in the chain space rather than the chain itself. Okay, and then 1 treble into each of the next 3 trebles, and this is where it becomes important to know where to put your hook. So as I discussed a bit earlier when we were looking at the petals, a stitch consists of a post and then the top of the stitch. So when you're working in chain spaces, sometimes you need to pull your stitches to the side enough to identify where you're going to be going. So this is the first post of the first treble, and this is the V at the top here, and it's the little hole that's identified when you give your work a bit of tug just off to the right. That is the top of that stitch. Okay, so it's not this one. If you do that, you're missing a stitch and your count will be out. It's this one, which is why you might need to just pull those 2 trebles over so you can identify that hole to insert your hook. So I'll just reread where I need to be now. So we need to put a treble into the next 3 trebles. So that's in the first one. That's the second, 2, 3, which is going to take us to the center stitch. Okay, of the 7 trebles we did on the previous round. And in this one we need to put 3 trebles in that corner. Okay, so we're really going to be identifying a square now. So that's 1 in there, 2 and 3, and then 3 in the next 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3. 1 treble into the next 2 chains, or if you like me, just straight into the chain space. Okay, and then a treble into the next double crochet, which is the one I put in the chain space in the previous round. 1 chain, and then 3 trebles into this center one. So I'm putting 3. Completely messed it all together there, sorry. There it is. One, 2 and 3, and then we're chaining 1. We're repeating now. chain one into the next double crochet, which is the one that's mid chain, and then 2 into the next 2 chain if you're doing it that way, or into the chain space. And then again tug your stitches along so you can identify where you need to be. And just for the purposes of recap, that's the post of the first treble there. This is the V sitting on the top, and that little hole just off to the right where the needle is there is the top of that first stitch. Okay, so again 1 treble in the next 3 stitches, so that's 1, 2, 3. We're now at the center stitch of that fan of 7, so we're putting 3 in this one, and you can really start to see the edges and the corners begin to appear now. 3, then 1 treble in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so you can just see there how the corners really starting to emerge now, and the edge is becoming much more straight. So 2 into the next 2 chain or chain space if you're a bit like me. Then 1 into the double crochet, chain 1, and then a fan of 3 in that central double crochet there. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1 and 1 treble into that double crochet that's midway point along those chains. That's 1 in there, and then 2 in the chain or in the chain space. 1, 2, and again identifying the stitch, the first stitch correctly, so that keeps your numbers right. So we're going in there, so 1 treble in there and a treble in the next 2, and then we do a fan of 3 in that central stitch to help us get round the corner to do the next edge. Then 1 treble into each of the next 3 stitches, like so. 2 into the chain, or again like I keep saying, in the chain space. 1 into the double, that's midway point. Chain 1, fan of 3 into this central double crochet here. That's 1, 2 and 3. Okay, chain 1. We're on the last corner now. So 2 in the next, no, you see, and I'm rushing ahead. Chain 1, 1 into the double crochet that's midway point between the center and the corner. 2 in the next 2 chains or into the chain space itself. I sometimes think that when you're working in the chain space, it just gives you that bit movement that working into the chain itself wouldn't, so that when you come to block you can get it as even as possible. Anyway, we'll finish this corner. So that is the first top of the first stitch, okay, just off to the right. So 1 treble into the next 3, that brings us to the central post of the 7, where we need to put a fan of 3 in that corner. And then a treble in each of the next 3 stitches around. Oh, I went too low there, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 2 in the chains, 1 in each chain or into the chain space itself. One into the double, last double, 1 chain, and then to finish this fan off in this where we started, we need to put another treble in the same space as the chain, and that's the third one. Now the pattern would say to slip stitch again. I'm going to do my usual finishing off, so we'll just snip a length, pull the yarn through and thread our needle. So we're looking for the third chain, so that's 1 V there. Sorry, this yarn's really dark, it's not easy to see. There's the bottom V, the second V, and we're going under the 2 strands of the top. So we're going through front to back and pulling that yarn through, then down the last treble that we did and pulling tight. We do not want to see this V, we do not want to count it as a stitch, it'll knock our stitches out on the next round. And then come back up to complete that, and then just weave anti-clockwise, back loops only. I'm just going to go around the corner and make sure plenty's woven in, so that the next round is going to anchor it down like so. Always end on a downstroke and your tail at the back of your work. And then we need to just deal with the tail in exactly the same manner as we have previously, that was for the original join. So we just weave that up the back. Like that. And then weave the opposite way, up and down. And then when we crochet the next round, that will anchor that one down as well. So there we are. So that's round 9, folks. Okay. So now the next round, round 10, we're going back to fern. Here we go. So where we're joining, let me see. Oh, sorry, peeps. Right, we're joining at the top of the central treble of any 3 trebles. So that could, well, that could mean anything really, because there's the central treble there. Is that the one that it means? No, it's on the corner. No, between the corner groups. So it's asking us to join in this fan here in the center. Okay, and it wants you to join in the center of the 3. So again, just for the purposes of helping you identify stitches, that's your 3 posts, and the tops just off to the right is where you insert your hook. Okay, so you can see the corresponding V's across the top there. So I'm going to insert my hook there to join the next colour. We need to chain 3 in total, so 1's to join and 2 to make it the same height as a treble. So 1, 2, 3, and then we are to do another treble in the same space, 2, 3, like so. Then chain 1 and skip a treble, so we're skipping the next treble. Skip a treble and the 1 treble. So we're skipping this treble and the chain 1. and then we're trebling into the next stitch. So again, we need to make sure that we identify the top of that stitch correctly. So it's just off to the right there. So going in there. So we've got our starting chain here, another treble in the same place, a chain one at the top, and we're skipping a treble in the chain, and we're going into there for our next round. Okay, and then we are putting a treble into the next 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've actually got 7 trebles in total along here, and as you can see, that brings us nicely to that centre post of the previous round, and that's where we're going to be inserting our hook there, just off to the right, where you can just see that tiny little bit of daylight shining through. And in this stitch we are putting 5 trebles, so we're putting 5 trebles into there. That's 1, 2, haven't gone actually into the right, have I gone in? No, sorry people, I went between the posts rather than in the top of the stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then we need to put a treble into the next 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I should have highlighted that at this point. You should have gone down hoops. And I am, but I'm not going to I'll change down for the next round, because this is my second blanket, not the first one, so it doesn't really matter too much. So there we've got 7, which brings us up to this chain space. So we've got to skip that chain space and the first treble in this group of 3, and we've got to put 3 in the central post. So the central post is there, and the top of that stitch is just there off on the right, and you can just see daylight poking through. So where you see daylight is where you put your hook. We're putting 3 trebles into that space there. We're chaining 1, and then we are off doing 7 into the next 7 stitches. Again, make sure you identify the top of the right stitch. You don't want to skip a stitch by accident, it will knock your numbers out. Okay, I'm just conscious that the square is getting bigger, and I don't want my hands to weave away too much, so you can see what's going on. And I better stop and count. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7, nicely to the centre, 5 in that centre post. 1, 2, and I've done it again. As you no, I haven't. I thought I had. I thought I'd worked in between the posts, which gives you a completely different look. It would give you the spoke look that you got down here, but I haven't. So it's been a Mrs. Doubtfire, but I didn't need to be. So that's 4 and 5, and then 1 treble into the next 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what's happened here? Oh look, I've spotted a mistake. For the purposes of this video, we'll pretend that's not there, but as you can see, I've got 2 trebles in there. So I've increased by mistake, but I'm not going to pull it all out now, so I'll just skip a stitch so we can make sure we've got the right numbers. But I will pull it out, folks, because this is going to be part of a natural blanket. So we've got the corner, we've got 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, I still got 8. I must have worked into it when I didn't want to. Yes, I did. Skip it, Sarah, skip it. We'll come back to it later. Right. 2, 4, 6, 7. So it looks a bit off kilter, but I don't want to pull it out now. But it just shows how easy it is to make a mistake. And I will pull it out when so I can neaten it up. So now we're chaining 1, skipping the first treble in this group of 3, and putting 3 in that centre. And this is where we join, so it can be a little bit difficult to get your hook in where you need to be. And as I've said in previous rounds, use a smaller hook rather than continuing to frustrate yourself trying to get your hook in that right place. So that's 1. Split the yarn now. 2 and 3. Chain 1, miss 1 treble and the chain space, and then we're working into the next 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 brings us to the center post, and we're putting 5 in here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Chain 1, miss the chain, miss the first one, into the middle, 3 trebles in the same place, chain 1, and then skip the treble for the last treble in that group of 3, skip the chain, and then 7 into the next 7 stitches. 7 trebles into the next 7 stitches, bringing us to the last corner. Oh, split the yarn. So that's 5, 6, 7, back to the central post. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. This is the last corner, so we've got 7 trebles across this top of this edge. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Chain 1, skip that chain and skip the first treble, and we need to put the last treble in exactly the same spot as the chain 3. And I'm not going to finish it off because I've already told you I'm going to pull it out because I've spotted my mistake. just a little note, remember to change your hook for round 10. Finish off the round exactly the same because we're changing to a different colour for round 11 and round 12. So I'll leave it there. I'm going to correct my mistake and then I'm going to come back and do the next video for round 11 and round 12. So happy hooking and I'll see you soon.